Hello, it's me, BGE. You are about to watch a panel I put together with my buddy Shaybs, aka Caribou-kun, for Anime Boston 2024, called One Piece, The Legacy and Future. We're gonna come at you hot and fast with the One Piece knowledge, but before you do anything crazy like form your own opinion about anything, I think there's something you should keep in mind. It's something I want to show you, something I did actually bring to the panel but forgot to bring out. It honestly just slipped my mind. Let's take a look at it now. It ain't this, won't be needing this anymore. No, it's actually this. This is an official, actual Japanese language proficiency certificate I received from the Japanese government, not a joke. So just to be clear, I think it's safe to say that my opinion about the chief Japanese cultural export, One Piece, is thus objectively correct. It's basically like if Goda himself rose from his grave and approved all of my opinions officially. So please, respect his blessing. Thanks for watching, and more importantly, for agreeing with me. Now let's get this show on the road. Take it away, Shaybs.
Hey, it's Shaybs. Welcome to our panel, Anime Boston. My name is Shaybs, and I run a channel called Caribou-kun. I do video essays and post AMVs that no one watches. And then I also run a second channel with a friend of mine in Canada, Jacka's Boy. We do a little Pissed Pirates podcast where we're not pissed at One Piece, we're pissed at you. I also happen to be an employee at Animego, specifically Miss Media OCD, where we just bought Animego, and we're gonna have brand new license. My boss is in Japan right now. It's exciting. Anyway,
I'm BestGuyEver. I run a YouTube channel until recently called BestGuyEver that got terminated, baby. Hashtag free BGE. Bring me back, boys. And I also, yes, thank you. Retweet or something. And also I run a One Piece stream that used to be re-uploaded to YouTube and had some problems with that. Called Talking Pirates, but the stream still exists. So
yeah, he streams on Twitch every
Friday. Whenever there's a new chapter, pretty much, yep.
Before official release.
That's it, before.
And what's our panel today, Nate?
So this panel is called One Piece, The Legacy and Future. We will be discussing sort of the history of One Piece, where it came from, the way it sort of marched its progress across the world and influenced all of our lives, and then talking about sort of the future, the ending, where we see things going, and what life will be like after One Piece is done. As morbid as that may sound, yeah. Which is allegedly coming soon, but who knows.
Yeah, he said Final Saga. He also,
another 5 years.
At one point, he was like, 2024.
Yeah.
And we're like, if you're reading, you're like, that's not happening. Anyway, this is how it's going to go. Part 1 is about 20 minutes. We're talking about the legacy, and this is going to be more like an info dump for those who don't know what One Piece is. And then the bulk of this panel is an appraisal of One Piece, how it's fared as a story, talking about the good and the bad. And then after the end of it, we'll talk about that future part, right? The red text, if you see any red text on this screen here, that means audience participation. We want people to come up with the mic or
This mic is active, so feel free to come up to it. We'll let you know when it's time to speak. Don't cut us off.
And if it's green, it's mostly a conversation with us two and everything. Some disclaimers. There are spoilers up to chapter 1111.
Yep.
I don't think we need to
We
spoil
probably
that
won't
much.
go into much detail
Probably
about
go into that
recent
much
events.
detail, but just letting you know, the anime is at chapter 1067 if you're anime only.
Yep.
This is only focused on Japan, the United States, the growth of that in those two countries. Sorry for every other country. And please be since there's audience participation, please be courteous and kind during discussions. And we're former Boy Scouts. We'll try not to swear, and
we're Eagle Scouts.
Yes,
that's right.
Try that. Yeah. Anyway, so what is One Piece? For those who don't know, One Piece is a manga series that started in July 1997. It is still publishing today after 26 years, serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump. It is the second longest running manga in the magazine's history at 1,111 chapters, or 108 volumes, with over 1,000 episodes of TV anime and 15 movies. As of this past December, it sold over 500 million copies and is the highest-selling manga of all time and the second highest-selling comic in the world, only behind Superman. But how did it get to this point? And how has One Piece's popularity grown in the United States, specifically? It's a little more complicated than you might think. Like, oh, it's 4Kids. It's 4Kids. It's
Love 4Kids.
That's all the
My
reason. Not exactly. But it's a very big deal, and now I'm happy it's become such a big deal. It's a really fascinating.
I'm not that happy.
Yeah.
We have to go back.
I wanted
to go back.
My manga. Yeah. That's fair. So when One Piece started, there was actually not much competition in the magazine. You had Rurouni Kenshin going, you had JoJo Part 5 running, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was less than a year in, but all of its big players like Dragon Ball, Slam Dunk, and Yu Yu Hakusho had finished about a year earlier. And so in just 18 months, One Piece sold 6 million copies from just 6 volumes, which is just unheard of at that point. Like Naruto did 4 million at that time, and Conan did like
Rookie
500K. That info is from Manga Codex, by the way. And anime OVA was 12 months after that, super, super quick. That was for Jump Festa, unheard of. And then in the second year, One Piece got a TV series by Toei Animation, which put it in the same time slot that it used to have Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball in it, which so it's like, it's darling. That's the next one, really. And then in 2002, volume 24 broke the comic book world record, selling 2.5 million copies in its first printing alone. Needless to say, One Piece was a runaway success right at the very beginning. It's not like it just suddenly caught on. So it's only at this point, November 2002, does One Piece finally get brought to America. It's first published in Viz's Shonen Jump magazine. They used to publish the actual magazine in November 2002. Oda was like 19 chapters into Skypiea at that point. And the first volume was published 6 months later, and then over a year after that do we finally get the anime from 4Kids, and Oda was 15 chapters into Water 7 by that point.
Wow.
Now, 4Kids knew that wasn't really a good fit for them, but they were contracted for 2 years, so they had to dub it till 2007, 2006, and then Funimation finally got it April 2007. And to this day, they are not cut up dubbing it. They had to redub it from the beginning, and they got to Gear 5 like a month ago. So
they're
like
they're doing
very,
it.
very close.
Shout out to Funimation. They're doing their best out there.
Yeah, but like the real moral of this is that it wasn't just 4Kids that was slow to this. This is the same time period of 5 years, you know? And even by that point, so America was just slow in general to catch on to One Piece, and that's why you might not have seen it all that often. But back in Japan, we have what is called the Strong World Miracle. In late 2009, the combination of the 10th movie, Strong World, Volume 0, and the Marineford arc starting in the manga kicks off this unexpected boost in sales. This manga, this far into its run, never sees increases like this. The first bar, I know you can't really see it, the first bar all the way on the left is Volume 50. And then it just spikes at Strong World, and it sells 15 million copies in 2009, doubles it, 32 million in 2010, and then 38 million in 2011. So Strong World earns 4.8 billion yen. So Volume 57 beats Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix as the most sold in one print.
We got her, boys. We got her.
In the world. And then Viz seems to notice this. But, well, Volume 58, 59, 60, and 61 outperforms each other. They actually beat the record 4 times in a row. And Viz seems to notice this, and I'll show you the chart later. They sell 5 volumes a month to try to catch up to One Piece. They were at volume 20 something, and they're like, oh. Usually they did 3 or 4 volumes a year. They did 5 a month. Wow. For 6 consecutive months, and then finally caught up, and they're like, okay, now we can, and then Crunchyroll actually starts simulcasting the anime in November 2013. That's when a lot of people started to actually catch up, and so you have a lot of people like, I caught up with Dressrosa. So here's what I'm calling the post-time skip fatigue. Oda starts this saga to take down one of the 4 emperors, and it lasts just under 10 years of publishing, 382 chapters, which is over a third of the entire story. In this period, One Piece outlasts much of its competition, Naruto and Bleach, and there's not many other manga in that magazine that ran for 380 chapters at that point.
Although, to be fair, Naruto finally got good with Boruto. So, we can be thankful for that.
Says you. And they were 28 chapters into Dressrosa by the time we got the anime on Crunchyroll. And the anime, unfortunately, starts getting a pretty bad rap for its pacing and animation quality. I disagree, but it's fine. But I think even the manga loses a lot of momentum here, right? Because it's not like there's this big, they're in one mission pretty much.
Dressrosa
that entire time. A lot of side plans and everything.
Time dilation and whatnot.
So I can imagine it was a slog as a week-to-week experience.
It sure was.
For me, I binged all of it. That was nice. They're great arcs. But that period wouldn't last forever. This is what I'm calling the Wano Renaissance. It's unofficial. And it starts in 2018 when Toei begins to adapt Wano, and many fans notice a boost in animation quality. And then in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic leads to several people choosing One Piece as their lockdown media of choice. Mine happened to be Naruto, but I got to One Piece eventually. And it creates an influx of new fans.
We call them Wano refugees in the business.
The following year sees One Piece celebrate 3 major milestones of 1,000 chapters, 100 volumes, and 1,000 anime episodes, all in the same year, 2021. And then in 2022, which is the year I caught up, you had both Film Red grossing 20.3 billion yen, becoming the 6th highest grossing Japanese film of all time. And then Oda finishes the Wano arc only to announce the beginning of the final saga. Lastly, in 2023, you happen to have the One Piece live action, which, miraculously, is well received, and it earns a 2nd season. So now One Piece is everywhere, from collaborating with the NFL to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They had a whole festival in New York Times, which is probably unheard of. Like, if you were a One Piece fan back, you were. Like, you can't imagine just like, oh yeah, they're just celebrating One Piece in the Times Square right now.
It is
crazy.
truly nuts. It is truly nuts.
There's really never been a better time to be a One Piece fan, is what I'm saying.
But Naruto never got that.
Is what I'm getting.
Right? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure.
So we want to ask you, we want you to raise your hands. When did you catch up to One Piece? We want you to raise your hand for the arc that happened in the manga, that was happening in the manga when you caught up. So let's work backwards. Who caught up during Egghead, the final saga? I certainly
I have
did.
a question.
Yeah.
What do you mean by catch up?
Well,
Be up
if
to
you're,
date
if
with
you're
the
up to
manga.
date with it, with the manga or
Yeah.
even in the anime, if you're anime only. If you're not, you don't have to raise your hand. If you haven't even watched One Piece, you don't have to raise your hand.
I'm caught up, but I started like
So we'll get there. So we'll work backwards.
For some people that you say catch up, what if some people started like around that time? Is that still all right?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Well, you're saying like when
If
did
you
get
if
into
you
the
caught
series?
up, at what point did you start reading week to week? Is what we're wondering.
I guess not everybody would know, but
Yeah,
whatever. It doesn't
of course
matter.
not
It doesn't
everybody would be
matter.
caught up.
A lot of us will know who've been in the trenches a long time.
Yeah,
so
yeah. But let's break it down. So
we're
we had
going to go
Egghead.
backwards. We're going to start
So,
with
who
Egghead.
caught up during Wano?
Who got caught up
Who's
during
here? Who
Wano?
got up
Everybody
during
raise your
Wano?
hand. Wano
Yeah.
people, Wano refugees out there. There you are.
Anyone
okay.
around Reverie? Reverie, the little mini Reverie arc.
Reverie?
Nice. Yeah. How about Whole Cake? Yeah.
Right on.
Zoe. Anyone around Zoe? Dressrosa. Okay. Honestly, not as many people for Dressrosa as I was expecting. Punk Hazard. Yeah.
Okay,
All
post-time
right.
skip.
So let's go to Fishman Island saga a little further before that.
Who got caught up
Nice.
during Fishman Island? Yeah. okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Summit War, which is that whole period. This is Marineford, Impel Down, Amazon Lily, all of that.
Marine Ford catch. I know you
Sabini.
people are out there. Marine Ford people. There. Yes. A lot of people got in.
How about Thriller Bark Saga?
That's about when I was in it for a long time, but it's when Thriller Bark was happening. That's when I caught up.
This is
to
when
the
you
manga.
caught up.
I've been in it for a long time.
Well, you've been
before
here
that,
longer than.
but-
Yeah, I hear you. Wander 7, anybody? Nice. Wow. That's awesome. How about Skypea? Very early. Wow. That's incredible. Alabasta. Woo!
Wow.
At that point, you was like reading Raw, or so, because when it was in Alabasta, it was 2002. The U.S. didn't even have it. And East Blue Saga. Wow. Unbelievable.
That's not correct. That's not correct. None of you guys caught
It was
on
one of the
when
6
East Blue was
million
coming out.
copies that bought in this first 6 years. A lot of people were reading One Piece by then, which is fair. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Incredible. All right. So we just want to hear from you guys. When did you catch up to One Piece, or why did you start One Piece in the first place?
If anybody wants to come and talk about this, come up to the microphone. Now it's going to be back and forth. Tell us why you got into One Piece, maybe what spurred you on, your history with it, anything like that. Okay, here comes
yeah.
a brave soldier. Come on up, get in
Appreciate
line,
it.
Do
Yeah,
Flamingo.
Well, I started reading because I used to go to the bookstore weekly. And the internet wasn't big when I was a kid.
Wow.
And so I started reading when there were about 6 books out. And I didn't really like it at first. I remember that. And then sometime later, I don't remember when, but I tried it again, and I really loved it.
That's
and
awesome.
so I've been a fan since then.
Yeah. That's
Since
great.
the early days, not quite the beginning.
Yeah. But still, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Let's hear some
Thank you
more
for your
people.
take.
So much.
All right, Femme Flamingo, what's up?
Hello.
Hello.
I started reading One Piece because I really liked Doflamingo.
Yeah, you saw it. Yeah.
All my friends told me.
Oh, is that us? Who's that? Okay, you're good.
I started reading because all my friends know that I love.
It's not me. My boy. Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Anyways, all that to say, my friends told me that because I'm such like a villain girly, that I would love Doflamingo. So I legit spent 2 years
Catching up.
just to see if I would like him, and the answer was yes.
Yeah, all right,
I mean, you saw him fairly early because he was in Jaya, technically. His first appearance
That's true.
was Jaya,
That's
so
true.
you got him fairly early. But yeah, but that's all. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
What were you thinking?
So when it came to the Dressrosa arc, at around that time, I didn't really start watching it or reading it. My friends kept convincing me, like, just watch it, just read it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, if it will get you off my back, I will.
That's great.
And I spent, as soon as the anime, because I was on Crunchyroll at the time, I spent maybe a year and a half just going through all the episodes all the way up until Dressrosa and just keep catching up every single day.
Wow.
The manga, I bought any volume I could as soon as they were out, and I keep getting the new ones even today. So
Right
I
on.
really did enjoy it. I can't believe I said that I hated it at first. It's now probably my favorite anime of all
A
time.
lot of people go through phases with One Piece, you know? The art
Yeah.
style takes some getting used to for some people, et cetera, et cetera.
At
That's
the-
cool, man.
At the start, the art style, not so much, but then I started getting used to it because I was like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just starting out.
That's awesome.
Thank
we're
you
gonna
very
get
much.
one more person, and then we have other audience participation as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So it was mainly because Crunchyroll kept showing me ads for the anime back when Crunchyroll was still free.
Yeah.
So
Right
I
on.
just started watching because Crunchyroll kept on shoving the big fights down. I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
It worked. Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
Sanji.
fantastic.
Appreciate it.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about what One Piece did right, because I mean, it had to be something with this project that like
Yep.
it managed to be the highest selling manga of all time, you know. To me, I think it's the real core of it is the broad appeal. There's so much that it does in terms of it says something for everybody. It has comedy, it has action, it has a lot of emotional stuff. I will say it doesn't have romance necessarily, but it has some romance in a lot of the side,
Sparsely, yep.
the side in other places. It's got horror, it's got sci-fi, it's so much. It does so much right in terms of just having something for everybody.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about a lot of things. I sort of have a One Piece formula of what makes up the DNA of the series. These numbers fluctuate whenever I feel like it, but it's like 20% shonen battles, 40% adventure, and 40% humor. And all of those things are fun. And you know, it's not like it's like the most deep political intrigue stories or anything like that. It knows what it is. It executes on it well. For me, probably the number one thing that I love about One Piece is the adventurous aspect to it, more so than the battles, maybe even more so than the characters. It's the sense of scale that the world is and the adventures the characters get into. Why my favorite arc by far is Skypiea.
Yeah.
The way that it begins, it executes, and it concludes. It's the best package of all time. It's
That's
totally
cool.
sick.
That's fact.
It's totally
That's
sick.
awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, what else? You've got the unique power system of the devil fruits
Yeah.
that makes for tons of creativity and the writing that everybody loves. The other things get added later with mixed results.
I would say also that it's the propulsive narrative. The fact that it's one continuous story. It's not like something you weave in and out. Oh, how's the gang doing? No, they're still in it, and like you have to see what happens next. Especially in the anime, the way that it has the to be continued and the next episode and everything. And it's so you gotta binge. It's
That's
something
true.
you go.
And
through. It doesn't feel like 1,000 episodes. You know?
There's good and bad things. I'm not sure what our order is right now, but like one of the things that One Piece gets criticized for a lot is being repetitive. You hear
Yeah.
this a lot of people that don't like One Piece, and there's like a degree of truth to that in the way that like Wano and Alabasta and Enies Lobby a little bit. I mean, or Dressrosa is what I was thinking of. They're all kind of like go to a kingdom. There's a problem there. They've got to solve it.
Yeah.
And for some, that's like too repetitive. But when you dig into the series and you appreciate that it's a new landscape with new characters to enjoy and see the wacky adventures they get into.
And I imagine Oda notices that too, because I mean
Yeah.
he's a student of manga and he knows that this is kind of like the way it goes. And it's interesting. It's like, okay, I have that happen to this character. I can't let that happen again the next arc because they'll be like, well, that happened. Especially his readership being so in tune and everything. This chart, by the way, is Viz's release of volumes per. Like this is like the orange is Naruto. And One Piece you have there in 2010. That's just how many volumes they sold.
Is that millions?
No, it's
Or-
just physical number of volumes. They
Oh,
31 individual volumes, like volume 20 something through 50, whatever.
Oh, so this is the English release by Viz to catch
Yeah,
up
by
with the series,
in
right?
order to
Yeah,
catch
okay.
up. And the blue one happens to be Bleach that spike happens because the anime wraps up in 2012. So like, oh, we better get the 1,000 Year Blood War translated so people can read it and catch up. Anyway, but like one of the things it could have done better definitely is just its release in the U.S. They definitely didn't treat it as the runaway success that it was in Japan. And that's why we didn't, as Americans, we didn't hear about it as much as we did hear about Naruto and Bleach and Dragon Ball and all these
you know,
other series.
everyone's talked about this for a long time, but shackling itself to 4Kids, that wasn't a good fit for the story. You know, to an American eye, it looks like it's a baby cartoon for babies.
Right.
But you know, when you get to like the violence and the
Episode
the
2,
deeper
they're
political
guns,
struggles
and they're
and
like,
the the world building, that's not for babies. It's for adult people and adolescents. You
But
know?
again, one of the things that it's so successful at is a broad appeal.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, adults and kids and teens are all able to enjoy this story. It's like, I'm too old for One Piece. There's it's not really anything like that. It's not that kind of story, I don't think.
That's true.
But yeah, it's hard to come up with stuff they could have done better because it's the highest selling manga of all time. You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I mean?
true.
It's hard to, but
And we're talking about release. When it comes to narrative, we will have criticisms of what One Piece could do better.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But let's hear from you guys. Something just generally, what do you think of what did it do right?
Get in
and what do
line,
you think
people.
it
If you
could have
want to
done
talk about
better?
One
If you have
Piece,
any, and
come
some
up
new-
to the
and
mic.
Some new people, but what do you think of some commentary about that?
Any thought about the release of One Piece, your experience of it, anything like that? You look like you've got something to say. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I remember the time between the transition between 4Kids and Funimation, and I don't recall the advertising by Funimation being very strong.
No.
That's true.
Because
That's true.
They picked up where 4Kids kind of left off, right before Jaya.
Right.
And I don't recall like remembering like, oh, it's going to be on Toonami on this night on this hour.
Yeah, it took
That
us
was
a while
not
to get
really
them on
clear.
Toonami, for
And
sure.
I think the ratings really suffered from that, and it never really.
You know, I was one of these people that like was following avidly, and then 4Kids ended. Thank you for your commentary. And then it ended, and I was like, where did it go? Where's my beloved One Piece? Why is it gone?
Yeah.
And they should have hit the ground hard when they're
Harder.
like, it's back, baby. We're Funimation.
Yeah.
Also, we're fixing it, so it's not 4Kids anymore. Anyway,
What do you think?
What do you think?
Could I like answer this based on like the plot? Like, could I spoil things or?
Oh yeah, we're
Spoilers
actually
are allowed,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers are here.
So I thought it was really. I don't like how they don't kill off certain people.
Yeah.
The death issue is a big issue with One Piece a little
for
bit.
For example, like Wano, I would have loved if like Kaido would have at least killed off some of the samurais on his own to
Yeah.
show how strong he is.
At least
That
somebody
is
died in
interesting.
Wano,
Ashura
at
and
least.
Izo didn't even get killed by Kaido. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or random mooks.
And also in Whole Cake Island, I would have loved if there was like a Game of Thrones Red Wedding type vibe where Sanji's family was all like assassinated.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there's
Not
definitely
exactly
some
the tone
opportunity.
Oda goes for typically, but could have been done.
Yeah, I just want more people to die. Just in general. Not like,
I'm sure he knows that.
Hell
and
yeah,
that's,
brother.
You know, the threats that are happening right now are promising.
Hey,
We'll see.
thank you, but let's take a couple more. Thanks
Yeah.
very much. All right, what do you think?
I'd say I really enjoy One Piece. I'd say its biggest problem, to me at least, is its pacing.
Oh, yeah.
But have you guys ever played Pirate Warriors 3?
Not
Nope.
yet.
Nope.
So I never watched the show or read the manga, but one of my friends was I was into to Hyrule Warriors at the time. One of my friends was playing Pirate Warriors 3, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I played the whole game, and that's basically how I consumed the majority of my One Piece. Is
Sure.
that game, and I'm going to say, great pacing.
Much more
Skype
efficient.
Up, one level. It's
Hey,
great.
thank you very much.
For sure. And we'll take either.
Hey, you know, no apologies, but you already spoke. If you don't mind, can we maybe get somebody else?
Yeah,
Thank
maybe
you.
take one more. Yeah.
Yeah, please speak into the mic. There you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nice
I
Luffy
wish
costume,
Luffy
by the way.
didn't win every fight.
Sorry, say again.
I wish Luffy didn't win every fight.
He
does-
doesn't. He doesn't.
He
He
always-
doesn't.
He lost twice to Crocodile before he
three
won
times
one.
to Kaido.
That's true. That's true.
He's-
and all
he's-
it took was the greatest ass pull of all time to make him win. Excuse me, pardon my French.
Fair enough.
Well, I really wanted to get this in here about
Yeah.
the depiction of women.
Sure. And all
As a
the
woman fan, Oda's depiction of women is somewhat
Based? Is it
Well,
based?
And we're gonna have even more about this. Is the appraisal part. Now you guys were so chomping at the bit to get to like as a story, you know. So
yeah,
this is our
yeah.
the bulk of our discussion is this long form discussion of what we love.
By the way, your
about
point is
One Piece.
actually reasonable. I'm
It
just
is.
kidding.
It totally
yeah.
is. We're gonna go over what we love, and we're gonna ask you what you love about One Piece. And then the bulk of our conversation is this back and forth we're gonna have as an open critique.
Yeah. Anybody that missed being able to talk, you'll get a chance to
We'll
say
have
stuff here.
plenty of time. We'll have a back and forth with this. But let's first just you and me let's talk about what we love about One Piece as a story, because we wouldn't be here hosting a panel if we didn't like One Piece, you know. To me, it's just the characters. It really is. It's I can't. There's some people who can rank the Straw Hats. I cannot. Like, they are all family, one unit to me, and even just all majority of the characters, honestly, and it's such an important thing to me. Yeah, it was just a general gush, I guess.
Sure, and I mean the characters as they interact with the world. I mean, I kind of already spoiled what I was going to say here, but like the adventure aspect of One Piece, like when you go back and you read Skypiea, that arc it does a lot of stuff. It meanders a bit, not in a bad way, but it travels over a lot of ground. But just the vision and the way that arc goes from like the hints of, remember at the beginning of Skypiea, they didn't even know if Skypiea existed. I mean, talk about an insane level of adventure, and then you go there and you get deeply involved in like the political machinations of that world, and Luffy through the lens of Luffy and the gang, they reach the ultimate levels of this world, kind of like a video game or whatever, and they conquer it, and they overthrow the evil bad guy that's there, and they save the day in a way that ties into all the mysteries and the hints that were there since Jai at the very beginning. And I mean, to me, like that's the best experience I've basically ever had with a manga. Fiction in general. I mean, there's lots of different kind of fiction. Some are more serious.
Jai is probably my favorite aspect of it. It might be like Water 7's my favorite arc, and then it would probably be Jai after that because it has Blackbeard, and I love Blackbeard.
We love Blackbeard here. We're big Blackbeard guys.
Huge into
Shout out to Blackbeard.
Shout
Yeah.
out Sekai. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. But yeah.
What else do we love about One Piece?
Gosh, it's in Bellamy, and Jai is incredible. But you're right with like it's all set up to Skypiea, which is I can't believe it.
Nobody else does it that good. It's
survived.
never been done that good.
You had that opinion all the way through all this bellyaching discussion of like, Jai is Skypiea is filler. Right? People are like,
so
you
funny.
can skip Skypiea. There's nothing major that happens in Skypiea.
I mean, I probably didn't even have like as deep an appreciation for Skypiea. When I read it at the time. In retrospect, you look back and you're like, holy crap, all these components like fit together so it's like amazing that this was put together this way.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing start to finish.
That's interesting. Yeah, for sure. And obviously I told them that I'm a more recent One Piece fan, all things considered. And I was so upset when I was first watching it. They're like, nobody told me it was this funny.
The comedy element is so underplayed in the discourse.
Yeah,
that's remember my calculation. 40% comedy. Some people think it's like 1% or like 10%. It might be 50,
like as funny as
60%.
Like a Naruto or Bleach. Like those have
way
comedy
funnier
in
than
it,
Naruto or Bleach.
No.
They can get the hell out of here.
No,
they're not
they
even in
don't.
the same league.
No, they're not. They're not even close. He's packing it into every single scene, pretty much. He's trying to be as not like
I mean, tell me the moment in Naruto or Bleach or Sword Art Online or what have you, when Robin's trying to join the crew. Everyone knows, you probably know what I'm getting at, and Robin's trying to ingratiate herself to the crew.
Oh my gosh.
So she looks it's Zoro
and
Usopp.
Nami.
She bribes Nami. Zoro and Usopp are being real stick in the muds. They're like, we don't want this because she's untrustworthy.
Are you kidding me?
And then Luffy's like, hey Usopp, and then does the Chupa with the Robin hands. It's like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And like Usopp no longer questions this assassin joining the crew after that. That's narrative comedy.
Yeah.
It's the aha. The highest form of comedy.
I think at the point, like in early Alabaster, where Bon Clay's a bad guy or part of the Baroque works, but he just it comes apart on their ship and they're partying with him, and he's like, oh, this is a great guy.
That's right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And there's so much to it. It's such a long story that you forget a lot of these moments. Like in Loki, I forgot that in the episode where they're putting the feet on the barrel, like one of the best moments in the series.
Yeah.
In the same episode, Buggy turns into a car. And you forget that because it's so packed with those moments.
Buggy. Yeah.
But it's just so packed with those moments, and it's like, thank God this is 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
I just want so much of this, and It's a turn on for people where they're like, oh, that seems intimidating. But the moment you get into it, you're like, oh, yes, okay.
The
Yes.
long length is a legitimate, somewhat of a double-edged sword in that it is intimidating for people to get into it. I know many people that say, I'm not going to get into One Piece because that's a commitment of like 5 years of my life.
Right.
I've got no option here. And it's not even done.
No.
That's right.
It was
that's
like, how
true.
much longer is it going to be? I was in that camp for sure. I was like, I'll get to it when it's done. But then I realized, I'm sorry, I'm going to know what the One Piece is.
Yeah.
When it comes out, like you're not gonna be able to unheat like that's just you're gonna know that about One Piece going into it as a newcomer. Maybe you'll be completely blind, but I'm like, I gotta be there. I have to be there to know that, you know, and because it'll
be a big moment.
I had
and that's
absorbed
part of
so
the
much
legacy.
of the series. I had absorbed so much of the series through osmosis, and knew all the different spoilers and stuff. There was very few things that I didn't know about. But it didn't matter because it's all the execution and it's all perfect.
It's all about the execution.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
What else we got? The combat itself. We're talking about things that we love about One Piece. This sort of fluctuates because One Piece's greatest strength isn't really the sort of like the training arc Naruto progression where he like learns the Rasengan or any of that stuff. It's more like you get into an arc and either they already have all the skills they need, or typically this is with Zoro, they like figure out a thing they need to do during the fight. And you get that with like the Mr. One fight with Zoro, which there's multiple layers to how that went. You could call it like sort of out of nowhere, but it's all about the way it's done, the sort of spiritual awakening that Zoro has during the Mr. One fight, and thus the ability to cut steel that had been hinted and implied as something Zoro inevitably would need to figure out. I always talk about that as like one of my favorite moments in the whole story. Or, people forget this, but in Skypiea, Zoro didn't know how to like throw attacks, anime style thrown sword slashes. He figures that out during Skypiea, and that's another way that he has to do that to beat the fight against Iron Cloud guy, whatever his name is.
It's one of those goons.
One of the priest guys.
Right, yeah.
And that's really enjoyable as well. And just, the way that there is consequence and progress is made throughout fights, and there has to be sort of like narrative discoveries for the characters to be able to overcome the current conflict. And because Oda's a good writer, typically, that'll be involved in like the character's personal struggle, and they'll sort of figure something out. Take Luffy versus Katakuri, for example. Shout out to my boy Katakuri, best character in One Piece, baby, that's right. Luffy had to sort of, I wouldn't say it's like necessarily weaved into the specific attack names he used or whatever, but it's about the fact that Luffy narratively had to have the resilience and the unwillingness to fall down or whatever it is, as opposed to like the paragon of perfection that Katakuri is supposed to represent, and sort of the inherent fragility in a perfect image that can then be shattered by minimal criticism or attacks or failures or whatever. And we see the dichotomy between Katakuri's image of perfection and his inner personality compared to Luffy's like visible flaws and imperfect character and all that stuff, and but with the grit nonetheless to keep getting back up despite failures. And that's like the narrative undercurrent of that fight that it took me a while to digest it, but now that I have, I find it deeply, deeply moving, deeply meaningful.
Definitely. And I can imagine, what was that like as like a week-to-week experience?
Frustrating. It took too damn long. Also,
this is a very, very long fight.
You just, little criticism. It's like, legitimately, it is kind of baffling that Luffy wasn't killed many times in that fight, but it's fine, it's fine. He's a tough guy. He's made of rubber.
Katakuri gave it to him.
Katakuri gave him the business. let me tell you.
All right, sure. And I'll also, one more thing is that I don't think I've cried more often to a series than this. Just because of its length, but also just, he packs it with so many of these emotional moments that get me to cry.
Laboon, Brook, Bink Sake, big cry moment right there.
I still have my friends, like when Jinbei's there, and he's remembering them. Huge for me, very major. So, I think it's at that point.
We'll skip ahead. What's our next section?
Well, I thought it was
asking people what do you guys love about One Piece? Get back up at this microphone, people. Come on, let's hear it. Whatever you want to talk about.
Love this.
What do you love? How about it? What do you love about One Piece?
Right. So you guys mentioned earlier characters, and I really love the camaraderie and just sort of family amongst the Straw Hats, and how much they sort of invite other people, like temporary characters, into them and welcome them. And second would be world building. I know there's a lot to say about it, like as a series as a whole, it's so long, it'd be insane if there wasn't things they had to retcon.
Oh, yeah.
But just when you go into each individual arc, I feel like a lot of these islands and the places they visit are so fully fleshed out, and you see so much of it. I feel like really satisfied with all that.
Totally agree.
Right?
Totally agree. It's very satisfying to be presented with like a fantastical world, and then you explore it thoroughly.
There's
And
so
it's-
many other
it's
series
great.
that like, oh, they're friends. No, that they're a group. They're assembled together.
Ironically, that's
But
why filler in One Piece is actually kind of good, because it lets because we only kind of see like when the actual arc is happening, but the filler lets you see like when they're just hanging out and being goofy guys on like this other silly mission. Remember the ice side mission that was after like Water 7 or whenever that was? Not good. But
Thank
hey,
you so much.
our boys got to hang out. Yes,
yeah.
thank you for the comment. How about Akuma? What's up?
I think my favorite thing about One Piece is just even the most niche of characters have so much to them. My favorite villain in One Piece, which I think I'm one of the only people in the world, is Magellan.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Magellan, I think, was one of the most brutal characters in One Piece because he was such an unstoppable wall.
Yep.
Even more than Kaido, I think.
Yeah,
It took out the whole Blackbeard crew.
And especially in that situation with him being in control of the whole prison as well. Very, very intimidating.
And I think this is a problem with, not problem, but something with Impel Down. It's such a good arc. A lot of people don't think about Magellan. They don't think about how good of a villain he was, but he was, honestly, I think if he learned some basic hockey, he could be Admiral level.
No, for sure.
Probably.
If he wasn't stuck in the prison, if he's like, but
Purple
who
Hydra,
knows, they
Purple
might
Hydra,
do another
next
breakout.
time.
You never know. They might break somebody out.
If you look at some of the people that were in the, what was it, level 6?
Level 6,
Impel Down, those are some absolutely monstrous people, and he was keeping them in check.
Yeah.
So, and
Sea Prism helps, but
even still, the hockey.
Oh, yeah.
But
100%.
Even like I said, even the most niche of characters just have so much to them.
Yeah.
Like I said, Magellan or Kuma. Like when I started.
Now that we've finally gotten to his arc, it's all coming out.
That's when I'm still catching up, but I decided to read the manga when the Kuma backstory came out because I was like, this is too good to miss.
Yeah. Their anime is going to just.
Well, thank you very much. Let's let the next guy talk. Thanks very much.
All right, so there's a lot about love about One Piece, honestly, like the world building, honestly. The themes, like it's like political themes about like carrying forward and stuff like that, and all like the government taking over. So much like themes, the humor, all that stuff. But the character sticks with me the most, honestly.
Yeah.
Just like like one of my favorite scenes is Luffy versus Usopp.
Nice.
Just, like,
right.
Like the fight's great, but even before the fight, when they're just arguing inside the ship, just like the characters and like because they're like a family, watching that conflict, I'm just like I'm gonna break down.
It was really everything with Usopp and makes Water 7 my favorite arc on.
Oh,
Sure,
that's my
Being like
favorite arc
him,
as well.
like losing the money, and he's like, I can't face those guys. I
Yeah.
can't. I failed.
Usopp's insecurities and self-hatred are absolute. I mean, they're awesome.
But
That's
then,
a great
like,
element.
after he tries to go get the money, and
he fails again,
and then he doesn't know. He's unconscious for when they go out like, let's protect our boy.
Yeah.
Let's kick these guys' butt.
Then
Oh man.
the whole like found family thing, they go to Sandy's lobby. It's like I want to live, and they save Robin. And then like you also mentioned it, I still have my friend's name with Luffy and post Marineford.
Yeah.
I'm like I can't. Like I'm reading this, I'm like about to cry. Like
I
he's
did.
on his finger. He's like Usopp, Nami. It's like I have them
My-
all. Like of all the stuff, world building, fights, humor.
Yeah.
Themes, just
Yeah.
characters stick to me the most.
Yeah.
I love these like characters so much.
Big.
Thanks, man.
Love it. All
right, what do you think?
I think One Piece has a meta advantage for anybody who is growing up with it because it's so long, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're reading it as a newer fan, you have this found family and everything. But like I was a 4 kids baby.
Yeah.
I was watching the crew get formed. I was reading like in middle school, in Alabasta, that type of thing. So like every moment, I've grown up with these characters, and when you say family, it's like. Those are my boys.
Yeah.
I can't believe they made it this far, right? Not just like in the story, but like broadly, since you were reading.
You got to
it so
be proud
early,
of them. You got to be
seeing
proud
that,
of what they've done. You know.
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, unbelievable.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I love that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very much. All right, let's last person here.
We'll have the last two.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
we'll
two.
do
Yeah,
these
sorry.
We'll do these. We're
So
fine.
I was going to say, besides the manga and the anime being good, I'm going to say something that not many people would have talked about, the movies and how they're like really good to it. I feel like it would have also been nice to see the movies connect sort of somehow into the anime. Like
Certainly.
because like at the end of
some of them do
One Piece film Red, how it showed a glimpse of Gear 5 towards the end when Top Music was destroyed. We didn't even know anything about that.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to see, like, if the movies had connected right into the manga, it would be good to just show like something like that to prepare us for Gear 5 when it came out.
Definitely. I think that was probably why Strong World was such a big deal, because that was the first film that Oda had a part of in helping to write, and he was going to give more like Nami backstory actually.
Yeah.
And then he ended up just doing something a little different. Still had Nami as like a main focus.
Right.
But that was probably one of the contributing factors to why everyone swarmed to this movie, and then that created a big buzz, and that's what started the whole.
It was a wise marketing decision.
For sure. For sure.
Thank you
so
very much. All right, Zoro, what do you think?
I would say like I really like the Easter eggs that are hidden through it, and then also just like the representation from so many different cultures like around the world. Like I think that's one thing that's not in a lot of animes. Like it's specifically one race. So yeah.
That's what I mean. It's the broad representation, broad appeal. Like everybody can get it all over the world. You know?
It's a great feature of the fact that they travel to so different fantastical lands that Oda's able to capture different cultures and bring little pieces into them, and yeah, it's delightful.
100%.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right.
It's
now
time.
it's time.
It's time. We've arrived.
It's opaque. It's a blue color because you guys, if there's something you wanted to argue with Nate about or whatever,
we can go back and forth.
But we'll have a back of we can make this a little more flexible. But we're gonna crack open this chestnut here of a critique of One Piece.
This is why I organized this panel, so I could tell all of you my problems with One Piece. Okay, here we go. So I just want to say, so again, the whole point of this, and the reason that this panel is called One Piece, the Legacy and Future, is because, like, as you know, I've been a fan of the series for a long time, over 20 years. I've been active, reading it weekly, whatever it is, and I really do care about its legacy, probably more than I should. Totally fair criticism of me.
But its reputation.
Its reputation, yeah. And I kind of do legitimately worry about it, like it's like my little brother or something, or like it's my father. I don't know. And I want to protect its reputation. I want to protect its quality. And so on my Twitch stream or whatever I do, I shout into the void about some of my criticisms, like, no, you could have done this differently, and then it wouldn't sort of cut against this narrative quality here. Because I look at all of One Piece like holistically, as it's going to be done.
As one should, because it's a holistic story.
And it's going to be done one of these days pretty soon. And I would really hate, and there are already some things like this in the story, to look back on it and say, this part of it was really good, but then it did this, which sort of directly contradicts this thing that I used to like or liked at that time. And there's all sort of explanations for, like, oh, maybe this arc is about a different idea. You can have two conflicting, good visions, two virtues, and they can theoretically conflict with each other. But if they're easily avoidable, for example, then why? Then why do it if it's easily avoidable, So let me crack into a couple of these. So, okay, listen. What do we got here? Okay,
I could rapid fire the things that I know that you don't like, and people will be like,
you could.
What?
You could.
Doesn't
Some would.
What?
I've talked about this stuff many times, but okay, I call this section Nate's Complaint Department. So we're gonna talk about some of these.
Feel free to, if you want to come up and be like,
yeah, if anybody wants to respond to these, this is sort of open, so yeah, feel free to come up to the microphone. I kind of want to debate this back and forth, so we can yell at each other, it'll be a blast. Okay, so for example, okay,
he's already got
Ben?
There's nothing wrong with One Piece. There's no
criticism.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm sorry. What?
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
I object to the whole premise of this.
I reject your premise. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, didn't we already bring up a point from somebody out in the audience? Death in One Piece, okay? One Piece has a reputation of nobody dies. That was a reputation for a long time. That started with...
Roger dies.
Roger died.
The first person
flashback,
we meet
we
in
all
the
know
story is someone who
flashbacks don't
dies.
count. Flashbacks don't count. We've been over this. That's classic.
Why did it not count? It's part of the story.
Because it's different. When you cut back to someone who's going to die in like one chapter as an early One Piece. Okay. The point is, the reason why this matters is because when like a new fight is happening and we know, like, just for example, oh, no one's ever died in this story. I wonder if this character is at risk in this situation. You might notice these two things are in conflict with each other and will thus lower the stakes. That's an issue. That's an issue.
Oda actually addresses this issue in Orange Islands. Because somebody in the SBS, or one of the first SBSs, they're like, hey, why didn't Zoro kill Kabaji?
Yeah.
Why didn't he just murk that guy, Like, he could have. And he's like, well,
they're defeated when they're defeated, you know, and their dreams are dead once they're defeated. And so it's not really about whether they die or not.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing about, so it's, whenever the two characters fight, as you're saying, I'm not even thinking about like, is this character going to die? I never, especially when I do have those similar expectations as you do, where I'm like, they're probably not dead. Like every time like a lethal blow hits like a character like Vegapunk, they're like, he's probably not dead.
Yeah.
And Oda has to do it like 2 or 3 times and
He
then
does.
show a
He does.
life beat monitor to be like,
He's
no,
paying
he
back the tab he's incurred
Right.
of a sort of a lack of credibility in actually killing characters by
He
being like, okay,
understands.
Vegapunk's
He's like,
died
okay,
once,
okay,
twice,
okay,
3 times.
okay.
Is this guy really dead yet?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not just me. Somebody already came up and talked about, you know, the death thing. It's a credibility issue in the narrative consequences. So this does matter. Even if you're not consciously thinking about it, it's when, again, like I said, when somebody comes up and they get stabbed through the brain or whatever, you're like, is this guy really dead?
If he's gonna do that, has he done that? Where he's
Well, remember when our friend Kanjuro, no, sorry, not Kanjuro, Kinemon.
Yeah, so
when Kinemon
Warwick-
got stabbed through the gut in Wano, oh my, can you believe Kinemon? He cut him in half. He sliced him in half.
And 10-15, it's like, oh, he has a perfect like parting words
Yeah.
for Luffy. He's like, Kazashiki, and then died. Like,
right.
looks like he dies.
But then, turns out, wacky explanation, guys. He actually wasn't fully healed from when Law cut him like several years ago or whatever it was.
Well, it's technically a couple.
It was like a month or two.
Yeah,
it was like a month or two. Again, we're talking about like you build up an account of credibility of like narrative stakes, and I do think that Oda taxes. He overdraws on that a little bit.
And for me, I think about why did he do that? And so I'm like, okay, why?
Because he wants his favorite characters to live because it's nice. That's why.
It's
nice.
I think it's whether the character deserves it or not. In terms of like, I think Kinemon in this instance deserves to live. He deserves to make it to the end of this, the thing that he started.
What is deserves? These are fictional characters. They're delivery mechanisms of a message.
I guess,
they're not like our best friends, you guys.
It's similar to like
they're
stakes,
fictional.
where I was like, oh, my stakes. It's like it's again, it's a
Do you have a
feeling,
comment?
Right?
You want to comment?
Well, some of the Wano samurai did die.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
I mean, again,
I agree that it was.
it's a generalization.
Really freaky when Kinemon was cut in half.
Yeah.
And did not die.
And to be fair, like the narrative explanation for that is kind of clever. It is kind of clever. It strains credibility a little bit. It's like, why is he still not? Okay, it doesn't matter.
No, for
but
sure.
but you're right. There are other characters die, and every time Oda kills a character successfully, just on this account, it is adding currency to the account, so that there is legitimacy that he can kill characters. But this is what the whole Will of P is about. Like we wondered if Virgo and Monet were really dead. I still wonder to this day if Virgo and Monet are really dead, and this is why. I
get that. I mean, especially when he brings back a character like Saul after all
like
this
Saul,
time, right?
or how about? I mean, the worst example. Well, there's Pell, of course. Pell, our
Pell
boy,
doesn't- yeah, no,
survived
because-
a nuke
because
to
he
the
didn't
face.
do anything with Pell.
He didn't do
afterwards.
and that is why the Pell thing is why it's like he
It's
just
like,
doesn't
but
like
why
to
did
kill
he was
characters
just
that he
not-
thinks
yeah,
are
for
nice
sure.
guys, even though he took a nuke to the face.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not caught up, so.
Okay,
I don't
sure.
know what's
Sorry.
like. It's a shonen series at the end.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't kill off everybody. It's not Game of Thrones.
True.
That's fair.
And
You could have killed off
I
Pell.
think when somebody does die, the impact I feel is greater.
Yeah, with Pedro. Pedro's
Clay
huge.
was devastating.
Okay.
That was my first instance. Where I was like, this is legit.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Definitely.
So
It matters then when it actually
Also, like,
happens.
That's true. That's
You
a fair
don't-
point.
You can't kill Naruto in Naruto. You can't kill Ichigo in Bleach. So it's like,
yeah, at least
I mean, I would argue that actually that's true. Plot armor is real, but plot armor is an issue for narrative stakes.
And you're mostly arguing about like the death of tertiary or secondary characters.
That's right.
So it's
I would
like-
never say like he should have killed Luffy here. That doesn't make
fair
sense.
enough.
You know, he's
But
the main
then
character.
At the end, they're pirates, but they're kind of good guys.
True.
They're not
True. You're
the
right.
Zoro with the actual like lethal weapons, like.
I mean, when you look at One Piece as like a fairy tale, where of course, when the good guys win, of course that's true. It's a fictional story. We all want the good guys to win, but like sometimes bad things happen to some people.
The raid will fail?
You know, the raid will fail. Yep.
Yike.
But
Yeah.
I love it so far. At Fishman Island, I'm working.
Okay, all right.
Great.
Hey, good
Enjoy
luck. Thank
Fishman.
you. Thank
I love
you.
it. I love that arc.
What do you think, man?
I was gonna argue like literally a very similar thing to this guy,
Sure.
but except with Ace, because all up through
Yeah.
Impel Down and everything, I was so certain that it was gonna be like
It's gonna work out
It's gonna
great,
happen.
yeah,
I
yeah.
opened the book and the chapter is called "Hey, this guy dies," and I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
The volume
Ace
is called
died.
that too. The volume,
Yeah,
like
the
if you
volume
bought the
itself is
volume,
called
it's
that
called
too.
that.
You can just feel that Oda's like, it's time, baby. It's
I know,
time.
I saw the end of the previous one and I was like, no way, no way, no way. And then I pick up the next one and I'm like, what?
You know, regarding you and what the other guy said, it's true that like when Ace actually did die, that was unexpected. So it's true. It's true. He did build himself.
And again, probably part of the Strong World miracle too, because it was Strong World comes out, and then 7 weeks later, Ace dies, and it's huge.
Sure.
It was a monumental moment for sure.
Yeah,
and
and
Whitebeard.
also,
Let's not forget
I
Whitebeard.
would say crushing someone's dreams, the thing that was argued in the
Yeah,
SBS thing,
about
I think
death,
that's
yeah.
worse than death.
Yes.
They
Well,
talk
that's
about
That's
Arlong-
Oda's claim too.
Yeah, they talk about Arlong in Fishman Island as like they crushed his dreams. They treat it as if like he died, even though he didn't really die.
Right. He's in jail, I think,
That's like
somewhere.
more impact. Yeah, I don't know. He's in
He
jail.
loses everything, and Doffy loses everything.
That's like that hits you hard.
But then again, so did Crocodile. How's Crocodile doing these days, guys, in the story? Literally better than ever. He is on top of his game. He was going to kill everyone in Alabasta. Remember that nuke that he was going to drop on the city? He's doing great. What does that say about like the consequences of being a bad guy?
And then he got taken out of prison.
I guess it's fine.
I don't know who he's going to fight at the end of this, because he's on the final. He's on an Emperor's crew.
He sure is.
So he's going to be a matter in some regard. He's there for something. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
Nate, yes, watch.
Hey, all right. All right, what do you think, man?
Hello.
Hello.
I just want to say thank you for saying like Crocodile, like his dreams like totally not crushed.
His dreams are better than ever right now. Yeah, yeah.
He's the controls Bianca, like.
He sure does.
And like, the thing about like people say like, oh, some people do die. Like in Wano, like if you like followed it week to week, everybody like did not believe that the Wano died until like we saw like randomly.
If you were to like graph the number of characters compared to the ones that die, it's like 0%.
And, who is
It's round down a little bit, you know.
It's probably close to that, because
It's gotta be close.
people didn't expect Izo because they didn't confirm it until like
Yeah,
way after
exactly.
the raid.
Exactly.
They're like, wait,
is
he died?
Basil Hawkins dead? I think so, but
Yeah,
I
he
really
died.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Prove it. Prove it. I dare you to prove it. You can't
Here's
do
his
it.
tombstone. Yeah, like,
What about Drake? Is D.Ace Drake dead?
I don't know about that.
No one knows.
I don't know about Drake.
Who's
Okay.
the bandit leader's name or whatever? Like the one like.
Ashiradoji?
Yeah,
he's
Yeah,
probably
that was
dead.
rough.
That guy looks dead.
He was my favorite scabbard, but like he died.
He was pretty
I
cool.
Just like gonna stand back up because like explosions don't kill people.
And again, you know, it's just, we could talk all day about this one issue. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, by the way, did I introduce Goda and Hakta down here? These are my good friends, Goda and Hakta, the two writers of One Piece. My good friends. Sometimes Oda's writing a chapter, sometimes it's Hakta, baby. You never know what you're going to get. Anyway.
I like that you confirmed that Oda is Goda in real life, and Hakta is this imposter personality that hijacks the story
It happens.
occasionally.
And he is Twain. He is Twain.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to another. Hey, thank you for your comment. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
but what else would you like?
What
to
else do we got?
complain
Let's get
about?
into another thing. Okay, death was a big one. Okay, hey, power system issues. Okay.
This man doesn't like hockey.
I don't love hockey. I've got some major
does
complaints
not like
about hockey.
hockey.
They can't handle the truth. They can't handle my criticism of hockey.
I hear you. It's hard
okay.
for me too.
What did hockey do? What did hockey do when it introduced? It homogenized. What's up?
It makes really cool.
It's really cool. He's right.
Yes!
He's right.
Yes!
It is really cool.
Yes!
That's right. That's right.
Amazing, Nate.
I mean, the shot where he just comes rushing at Kizaru.
Yeah. Just the recent one. It looked cool. You got me. You got me.
And that momentary, distraction that the Straw Hats get.
Yeah.
I mean, that part. I mean,
It is impactful, and like Conqueror's hockey looks really cool. Black Lightning looks awesome. You know that's so true.
Look what he did to Greenbow, all the way across the sea.
That's right. Yep. The
Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi
hockey.
hockey is going strong with Shanks. Okay, but
Usopp's observation hockey in Dressrosa.
we have to compare specific examples here. I mean, that part is. I would have liked it more if he just did it through raw skill, but okay. I mean, I know it's whatever. Here's the point. Compare, for example, Luffy beating Eneru in Skypiea.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened there? I mean, that's not even a thing. One of the things we'll talk about is sort of like. Indeed. It's like One Piece was framed early on as like just some ragamuffin, silly, lowly pirate nobody, and that is how Luffy was for a long time in the story. It was like pirate. I think there's a lot of chapters called like pirate versus king, or like pirate versus captain, or something like that. Like Luffy fighting Wapol, the thematic underpinning of that whole struggle is about a lowly nobody pirate versus a king. And it's like, what do you mean? The king has like the mandate of heaven. A pirate cannot defeat a grand, majestic king. That would be like upending the correct order of the world. But Luffy does it anyway because he's a good guy and he beats the bad guy. But again, getting back to my point being that like when Luffy fought Enero, for example, it was about like just some random pirate. Nobody defeats God. Defeats God. That's a big deal. And again, he's a false god.
Yeah, self-proclaimed.
He's a false. Well, again, one of the things I love about Skypiea so much is at the end, people kind of forget this, but like all the Skypians, they've had false gods, and even Gonfall, who was their old god, he's not like literally God. He's just what they call their heaven-coded, administrative leader or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They all like actually pray to like what they perceive as actually God, and the meaning that implies of like we've abandoned like these false idols, and we're like choosing to believe in something higher than that we can't prove, we don't know is there. Like that really means something. It's deep. I'm getting off the point though. The point is about Enero in combat, right? That's what we're talking about. It's that when Enero is defeated by Luffy, it's because Luffy is a nobody who happened to have like a rubber fruit.
Yeah.
It's as basic as it gets.
Counter.
It's goofy, it's a natural counter. It wasn't about being like a magic super special guy or whatever. Having the Keke Genkai.
Sure.
That's about beating him or whatever.
But like, and even as early as Skypiea with Enero, you're seeing that like people who get devil fruits, they kind of rely on it as like, well, I can just do anything now. And Enero doesn't he's not like a super talented fighter. He just relies on how powerful his devil fruit is and how no one can touch him.
True.
And so hockey is this counter that like, it has to be something set in the story that that characters can work and develop and gain strength through, and not just be like gain a clever talent or anything.
Well, okay, let me just be precise. I am not criticizing.
It's a contrast to devil fruit.
I mean, that's true. Like, obviously, you can develop your hockey, and that's fine. Hey, guys, it's Nate editing here. I have to insert the point here about how devil fruits are only half of Eneru's actual magic power, why he was able to become the super god that he was of Skypiea. If you recall, it was how Enero used the combination of his electromagnetic devil fruit powers in combination with his mantra that let him, find the souls and locations of specific people. That was the nature of his godlike omniscience. So again, while half of Eneru's god mode comes from the lucky draw of his devil fruit, the other half is mantra, which was later recontextualized as hockey, which he also was literally born with. So, forgot to mention that at the time. That kind of reframes this entire thing. Hockey is something that Enero was just born with, so it doesn't even defeat the point at all here. Shaybs is not at all wrong that you can develop and earn your hockey. It's just that in Eneru's case, it did not serve that function. He still has a point largely, but I think that was important context here. I also don't fully agree that devil fruits are something that you instantly become god mode like. Again, Enero was one that did happen to be like that, but Luffy in his base form with the Gomu Gomu no Mi was a perfect example of someone that trained and developed the strength of an apparently non-powerful devil fruit, but then through his efforts developed power, and later on retcons that fruit might sort of undermine that development process, wouldn't you say? Boom, there you go, facts and logic. Gotcha. My criticism of hockey as opposed to devil fruits isn't that it's I'm not saying that it's all something that you're born with, although, I mean, some people interpret hockey, Conqueror's hockey specifically, as you are born into it. I don't buy into that personally.
I don't think so either.
An exaggerated point.
Oda didn't say anything like that.
No, so I don't take that seriously. But you want to say something, Sanji? Yeah.
One issue I have with the addition of Conqueror's hockey is it kind of got rid of Sea Prism Stone.
Yes.
The main thing that the Marines were using to capture Devil Fruit users. It's barely used anymore,
Definitely.
which is
That's true. See, and one could imagine a version of One Piece where hockey doesn't exist, but for example, Luffy and the gang employ more creative use of Kairoseki, of Sea Stone. And why couldn't, I'm just saying, why can't we imagine that story existed instead of the one we got? I'm just saying, of course we can imagine that.
In Skypiea, one of the things I love about Skypiea is the introduction of those new shells.
The
dials. Those are really cool, and that was a little world-building thing. And then they kind of show up through a little bit of Water 7, and then they're gone.
They're here a little bit. They're just a tad
just
here
a
and there.
tad, but they're I don't even think.
And what are dials? Dials are a specific Yeah, I mean, we see Usopp use dials with great
That
effect.
was
With
great.
the impact dial,
That's
we
part of
all
what made
love
that fight
those
so
moments.
incredible, yeah.
It's that those sort of narrative structures could be used instead of, this is my criticism of hockey, it's a blanket solution, and
Yeah.
it homogenizes and streamlines combat when it used to be more about finding specific ways to counter specific devil fruits.
It makes
Now you
combat
get like
less clever.
hockey on hockey, lightning battles, and it's all the same. And I just think that's not the best thing about One Piece. That's my point.
That's fair.
Which is why I like some of Sanji's fights better,
Sure.
because there was a bit more reliance on the technology aspect within his backstory that
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
he
the whole
then
cake stuff, for
used
sure.
Oh,
when
yeah.
fighting at least Queen. But again, like hockey is still used, but like
Yeah.
less.
Definitely, yeah.
True. Hey, thank
So
you,
much.
thank you. All right, what do you think?
I just have to go to bat for hockey.
Let's go!
I think when
I was
like
doing a
you're
terrible
saying
job.
that hockey is kind of a one-size-fits-all solution, I kind of feel like the opposite.
Yeah.
I think it was Kaido who said that you need hockey to counter the new world.
Yes.
And I think like hockey kind of represents just a new like baseline for this series.
That's
like,
exactly my criticism.
I find it
I'm just
interesting. I
saying.
find it interesting that two of the Emperor crews, Blackbeard is putting all of his eggs in devil fruit users. All of his crew have these crazy devil fruit users. And does Shanks? Do we know if Shanks' crew has any
no
devil?
We haven't seen
He
it.
doesn't.
We haven't seen
None of
any.
his. I think his crew
Only
is
advanced
entirely.
hockey.
I think his crew is entirely hockey based. Blackbeard's is entirely devil fruit based, and Luffy's is really going to be like a mix of both. Like, because I think the ultimate answer is that you need both. It's not just hockey alone or
sure.
devil fruit alone.
It would be foolish to try to like be the strongest guy and not max out all your potential avenues of strength or whatever.
For sure.
But the main thing I wanted to say is like it doesn't. I don't feel it like kind of paves over the ability to like innovate that the characters
Definitely.
still have. Like in the fight against Kaido, you have Kaido realize like I'm hitting this guy, and Haki is supposed to like totally disable your devil fruits, but he's literally manually moving his body like the rubber would, and I
Yes.
just think like. It lets them go even further.
What about your boy Law right there? We saw Law personally undo like the devil fruit, sick fruit that Doc Q did, and now it's like any devil fruit power. If you just hockey it up, it's gone.
Yeah, the
and that is
gender-
such
the
a get
gender
out of
thing.
jail free card
The
for
gender thing, I
anything.
think. Yeah.
Why can't a hockey man just hockey so hard that all of
He's a
Magellan,
hockey man.
like Magellan's poison, right? That guy's like undefeatable unless you hockey real hard, and then all the poison goes away, and you're just. Why couldn't Luffy do that? I don't know.
Did that
I don't
happen
know.
though? I think it's because he's not. I think Law says it's with a strong enough hockey. He had awakened his devil
Just
fruit,
strong
so
enough for.
he's
I mean,
strong enough
Oda
to-
just needs to write the character that strong enough for that narrative beat, and
Doc
we're
Q
past it,
probably
baby.
wasn't making a strong enough sick fruit. Like whatever.
The feeling I kind of got from it was kind of the utility of Conqueror's hockey. Like,
Yes.
this is just something you can use to just, like, take people out of the fight that have
Right.
no business
Peons.
fighting you.
Exactly
the
how
filler
Luffy
get
uses
discarded,
it
yeah.
in Marineford, absolutely.
That's fine. That's
Yes,
fine. Hey,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
All right, last one. Let's move on.
So on that point about getting rid of the peons with conquerors, I think they went a little hard on that in the first time when Luffy knocks out like 10,000 fishmen or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was 100. It might have been 50,000.
It was some
It was an
crazy
insane,
number.
and Oda dialed that back after that.
He definitely went a little hard on the hockey.
50,000 troops taken out in one hockey
It was a
blast.
little sad. But I think Gear, is it 5 now?
Yeah, Gear 5, yeah.
Gear 5 is kind of like I don't know if it's a response or a but it's like it doesn't follow the normal rules of fighting in One Piece so far, and I think that's like kind of the next step. I don't know. It's.
I hear ya.
Gear 5 is a really interesting evolution of the Devil Fruit hockey.
Yeah, and
fight.
conundrum. Yeah. I agree, and I think Oda mentions that too, where he's like, I was sick of shonen battle manga where it's just about stronger, and he had introduced hockey in a way to deal with these stronger people. Like, how do you deal with Kizaru when he's made a light or whatever? Oh, here's how. But then like Gear 5, he's like, I just wanted to do something fun. I just want to like break the mold and do something, and I think it's perfect for the series, but
No, I hear you.
someone
Well,
disagrees.
we can talk about Nika a bit, but like for example, if you're fighting Kizaru, one can imagine that hockey doesn't exist, and perhaps one comes up with like some sort of goofy, like we use mirrors, we trap him in like a mirror box. I don't know. It sounds like that's creative, which is kind of more interesting than just we hit him with hockey really hard. We attack the light with hockey blast until he falls down. That's not interesting to me. Like again, that's sort of Naruto-esque, in that you can just grind and get more power, and then we beat him. But that's not the strongest point of One Piece. That's, I want to draw out the best things about Oda's writing, which are adventure, creativity. That's my thing, creativity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
totally.
you. Here, let me move on to Nika. Let's talk about some Nika issues. It is. Okay.
What's your deal?
Well, let me first of all introduce the concept. I want everyone in the world to internalize this idea: retroactive foreshadowing. Are we all clear on what retroactive foreshadowing is? The world,
Chapter 1, baby.
The world is right. Not everything in One Piece was planned from Chapter 1. And when people, for example, people always talk about how the silhouette of Luffy and Skypiea hinted at Nika. It hinted at Gear 1 or Gear 5.
It was during the celebratory bonfire where they're going like this. He does the exact same Nika pose. That's what people are talking about.
That is what people are talking about. Correct. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But that is not a planned narrative event. At least we don't know that is. And I would argue for many reasons that it wasn't. What that is everyone who's read Bakuman, they talk about this in Bakuman as well. You take elements from earlier in your story and you expand on it later. Now, maybe people think I'm being a big stick in the mud when I say that, like, those two things are very different. Yeah. But when I see a lot of people say that, like, this thing was there and now it's here, that implies it was planned all along, and that makes Oda the greatest genius mangaka of all time. I just think that we're using poor critical thinking when we do that, and you're giving him too much credit, and you need to give him the correct amount of credit, not the excessive amount. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my point.
No, for sure. I agree with not being super big brain about he had it all along. I think your big criticism of Gear 5 is the linking of Luffy with
the narrative issues.
With destiny and fate.
Among other things, let me summarize it real quick.
Yeah, please.
We're getting to the end of the section. It's just, okay, so just to be clear, Gear 5 is really cool and really fun and looks awesome. And we all know it's awesome that, like, Toriyama's original vision of going Super Saiyan was white hair and red eyes, and Oda resurrected that idea with his Super Saiyan equivalent, white hair, red eyes, meaningful, beautiful, love it. Great way to honor Toriyama. Rest in peace now that he's passed. That's all awesome stuff. The Toon Force stuff, to me, like, you could argue it a little bit is a shame that we sort of lost the way that Luffy used to fight all the time.
Where he's still naming attacks, but it's not like the same. He's constantly doing new things.
Yes, he is.
Every single attack has been completely different, which is incredible and exciting. But
that's
you're right.
The creativity that's good.
There is an appeal to him, like, he used battle axe, he used Gatling.
Right. I just think it's worth pointing out, like, what is being traded for the new thing, and it's totally, the new thing could be better, of course.
Yeah.
But I like to keep that in mind. But okay, my issues with Gear 5, to cut to the chase. It's all about the linking of Luffy with Destiny, as you were saying, and the way that it affects Luffy's character, because Luffy really is, he is the freedom man. He is the, I will defy Destiny. It's kind of like Guts and Berserk a little bit. Like, the world is going one way, and Luffy will find a way to break it and go a different way. Wouldn't it be kind of weird if, in Chapter 1 of the story, he had a certain devil fruit, actually, that was kind of leading him down a specific path all along? Now, again, I don't want to overstate the case and imply that, like, a lot of this is confirmed, all the Destiny stuff of that, like, Luffy ate the one Destiny devil fruit that would make him be the winner of the Pirate King contest. That's not the point I'm trying to make.
Isn't it interesting with, like, I was just rereading it with Loketown, when he gets to that platform and Buggy almost has him, and he's like, well, I'm dead. And lightning out of nowhere just happens to strike him. It's like, well, that was weird, huh?
Well, that's a good point, and people debate that to this day.
A lot.
Was that? I mean, okay, that's a good example. We debate this a lot. Was that destiny at work? And it may well have been. That may have been literal destiny at work, or call it, main character plot armor, all the same thing. Or did Dragon do that? Did Dragon somehow shoot a lightning bolt from, he's got the wind fruit, or the lightning, I don't know, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
We don't know the answer to that. I mean, Dragon did show up, I believe, literally that chapter. So, like, it really feels like Dragon was possibly involved in that moment. We still don't know. We may never know. I'd say once we find out what Dragon's abilities are, if any, look back to that chapter and evaluate that moment 100%. And see if it makes sense. Nothing wrong with that. But, yes, Ben?
Okay, but it's kind of destiny either way, whether he had a magic fruit that made him destined to win, or whether he has a magic dad who is the strongest guy.
Well, listen,
those are both like his destiny allowed him to succeed.
I hear you. Okay, so it's just to make a distinction, you're right about that. I do not subscribe to the theory that like because Luffy was Dragon's son and Garp's grandson, that's like why he was even able to conquer the East Blue so easily. I think Garp's training probably made the biggest difference in why Luffy was like able to, because Garp trained some strong dudes, no doubt about it. And Luffy obviously had like inborn qualities that made him a fighty, adventure-y guy. But I really chalk that more up to like Luffy did stuff. Luffy trained himself to make him the right man to win.
But he didn't save himself in Logetown.
Yes.
No, but I mean, okay, right.
Both
So,
times.
to
Both times
your
when he was
point about
against Smoker and when he was on the pillar.
That's true. Either way that worked out, that's true. I would say if like literal fate intervened, that affects the story in one way, whereas a character who would want to protect Luffy intervene, that's very different. And we know that, well, we actually don't know this because analyzing Shanks' motivations, who had the gum fruit, which we now know is like the Nika fruit, did Shanks give it to Luffy intentionally? Was he pretending to be surprised retroactively?
Why does that box happen to be open right next to him?
I mean, why was this thing? I mean, did Shanks even know that this was the Nika fruit and not just like a random devil fruit that the government?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like he probably knew. We don't actually know.
Why would he go out of his way to get that? But from a CP9 member.
Basically, my whole point about like Luffy as a character is that I feel that the things that Luffy has earned for himself, for the most part, are just far more meaningful. And so I just want as much of that as possible. And let me just tell just a quick moment of the story.
Mm-hmm.
We have more time for this section, right?
Not really.
Okay, last point on this. My favorite moment, I think, in the entire story, well, okay, that's not, Skypiea is my favorite. But one of the things I think about the most about Luffy's character is when Luffy climbed Drum Island, or the Drum Mountain. How did Luffy do that? Did he pull that off because he's the secret legendary Nika man? Or did he do it? Did he save Nami and Sanji, who like would have died in the snow, and climb that whole motherfucking mountain because he had to protect and save his friends? And we see his fingers bleed as he's climbing the mountain. I mean, like pages pass and panel with panels, no speech, as Luffy is like painfully ripping himself apart to save his friends.
Well, he hadn't awakened Nika then. He was still.
I love that. No, I love that. I love that about his character too.
Nika doesn't enter into that.
Okay, first of all, if it's a Zoan fruit, we know that Zoans actually do theoretically make you stronger as a dude. And when it is a paramecia versus being now revealed as a magic fucking Zoan, excuse me, I'm sorry, as a magic Zoan.
Getting upset.
That actually, I'm freaking out. I'm sorry. That actually
You're losing your cool, Nate.
I mean, in one version of it with the story where that was always a paramecia, you would not look at that scene and say Luffy did it because he's a strong, like being rubber. I mean, it might help a little bit, but he did it because he's powerful and he cares about his friends and he like earned his strength or whatever.
But he's still Luffy
even if it's mythical, even if it's just a Zoan, we now look at that scene and are like, he had the Zoan boost all along.
I guess.
Not really.
Thank you, Zoan Devil Fruit.
I wouldn't have thought of it, but I mean, I guess it makes sense.
That's one of the many issues that I could go into.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Ben.
Ben.
Really
Thank
quick,
you.
And then I want to move to.
Okay.
I agree a lot with what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Destiny
You're a wise woman.
It takes away from what Luffy is. I mean, I did like the Nika thing. I mean,
In some ways, it takes away. Yeah.
Was really silly and weird.
Yeah, Batman. Yeah.
I like the bouncing. I thought it was cute.
And I like the Nika thing, but it really takes away, and it's sort of adding on to his dad as dragon, and he's the
it adds on this sort of like Luffy was destined to do. It feels, even if it's not like exactly what it is, it feels that way. It sort of adds to that interpretation of Luffy's character. And is that the best version of Luffy that we can imagine when the story ends? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, I think it would be really good if it came out that because he's Luffy, he gets that or something.
And I mean, this is the argument that people make, that like it was Luffy's unique qualities that unlocked, the awakened devil fruit. And by the way, quick aside, if the only thing that happened during the Nika awakening was that Luffy got that revive from dead, get out of jail free card, that narrative beat is the worst moment in Yu Yu Hakusho. But in One Piece, it's the best moment in One Piece. Is something wrong here? Are we analyzing this the correct way?
I think
that's my contention.
That's a way larger argument because it's within the context of Yu Yu Hakusho versus the context of One Piece.
It's a fight where someone's going to die and they're fighting to stay alive. I don't know.
I want you to make sure that you get
Thank
to
you for
your,
agreeing with me.
I want to make sure you get to your
my ending statement.
Your ending statement and everything. So I do want to get to with we'll give you guys more with like what you want to talk about with like, but we want to talk about the future, what the ending is, what you guys think the ending might be, or what you want from the ending, maybe a little agenda piece, but we'll probably cut that part out because we're
pressed for time.
And then we want to hear from you about what's life going to be like after One Piece for you guys, and then we'll end with our perspective on life after One Piece. So I know you don't care too much about this topic, so I can
feel free to take as much.
I can go through mine, but then
yeah.
I'm fine with giving more time to you guys. We'll pass this question off to you as soon as I rattle my thing. I put down for me like I'm not guessing what the One Piece is, and I'm also not guessing what Luffy's dream might be at the like what he wants at the end of his dream. Just generally with like what I'm hoping for. Is that all 4 emperors and their crews make it to Lodestar, which is the end of the Grand Line, but it's not quite Laugh Tale. And on that island is when they have one more poneglyph to get, and whoever gets that poneglyph gets to go to Laugh Tale. So they're kind of, it's like I think Oda at one point said, this is a story about a battle of the 4 emperors, like what he ultimately wanted the whole story to be. But it ended up being a lot bigger and longer than he thought it would be.
Right.
But this was like, this is what he really wanted, these 4 guys coming together and duking it out. And the whole
very clever image up there for this section.
But then the whole wider conflict of Emu and what's going to happen to revolutionaries, what about the Navy, and all this bigger, how big One Piece has gotten. I think while these 4 guys settle everything on Lodestar, everyone else is settling things amongst each other and taking down the world government. And especially with what's happening right now, I'm sorry for people who are not caught up, Vegapunk announcing whatever thing he's going to show.
What's it going to be, guys?
Whatever he's going to show the entire
Only 5
world.
more minutes on the clock. That's 3 more months of chapters, and then we'll get it.
But the fact is, he did that time limit because he wanted people to see what he's showing them. It's not just
Oda
information.
put in like jokes. They're like, how about we have time for tea before
instant
another
coffee
passage?
ad. Right,
That's actually very funny. It's like a funny version of the Frieza Dragon Ball Z waiting period.
But like whatever he shows them, I think that's going to spur everybody into action against the world government, against Emu. And they're going to settle all of that because Luffy doesn't care about the world government.
No,
and
he
all
does
this
not.
Stuff.
No, he does not.
He's only on his adventure and everything, so he should take care of that. And all the other 3 emperors, that's what they want. They've vocalized they want the One Piece. They're going after the One Piece, so that's what they're going to do. So that's what I want. And in terms of who's going to be the final villain, I'm hoping it's Blackbeard.
We all love Blackbeard here.
I love
that's
Blackbeard.
Our guy.
He's the perfect.
Now he's the man with the
foil.
Chapter 1 plan. He planned it all out, baby. He knew.
And I love that for him. But of course, there's the issue of Shanks, right? Because it is Luffy's ambition to overcome Shanks. He's like, I'm going to be a great pirate and overtake you someday. And One Piece is the way he's going to do that, and Shanks knows that. Obviously, this story has so much with pirates and Blackbeard's a real life, whatever. Treasure Island hasn't really been featured, hasn't been such a huge influence on One Piece in a direct sense. There's no John Silver character equivalent in this story.
There's
besides,
was it Silver, that guy, the Silver
John
Axe?
Silver is the character who
that zombie.
Silver's or whatever.
But there's a Silver guy.
Yeah,
a zombie.
but John Silver in Treasure Island befriends the main character, and then when they get to the island, betrays him. But through their adventure, still becomes out on the other side as their friends. But they go through a really big conflict with each other. I think that's perfect for what Shanks is having here.
So do you think Shanks will be an antagonist?
Yeah,
like a bad
he's an
guy?
antagonist before. He's not a villain.
So are you calling your shot evil Shanks?
No, not evil Shanks.
No, okay.
Not evil Shanks, but he is definitely an antagonist
Will it be
Luffy has to
appears
overcome.
like evil Shanks, but we later find out he actually did it for good reasons, Shanks?
I don't know about that.
Because I could see that happening.
Because I think he does need. He wants the One Pieces. We don't know his motivations for getting the One Piece. Roger told him something, and he cries, and we have to learn more to learn about him. So, and he's probably a celestial dragon.
He seems to be a celestial dragon by descent. Yeah.
That's a whole thing about him. So I really want. I'm hoping for that. But then last 2 things. It's like I really do think that Luffy. I really want a Game On reference at the end where the whole thematic thing with Game On was Sometimes treasure is just found by a random person and it's gone by the time you find it.
Yep.
So I don't think that will happen with the One Piece, but maybe something that Blackbeard wants aside from the One Piece, he runs into that issue.
Yeah.
Something that calls back to that moment. And then I also want, at the end, like a reference back to Usopp breaking up the Usopp pirates with Luffy breaking up the Straw Hat crew at the end.
Sure.
Just
Sure.
because what Roger did at the end of when he got to Laugh after he got to Laugh Tale.
Right.
That's what I want.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, cool. I mean, I'll quickly say, I want 1v1s with the Blackbeard Pirates, baby. Come on.
Yes.
We need them back.
Yes.
It's been too damn long.
Usopp versus Von Augur.
Usopp versus
is
Von
about to
Augur
go
needs to
hard.
happen. It needs to happen. Come on. Come on.
Amazing.
I don't know. The
Augur's
rest I don't
amazing.
even really care about that much. But Usopp needs a fight, baby.
Yeah, especially
Katarina Devon
on
versus Nami. I don't know.
What do you guys think about what you want? Even just not even from like the very end, but maybe for the next arc, because we're probably going to Elbaf. We're not sure yet, but there's Viking pirate ship right
Yeah,
there.
come on up. Let's hear some ideas. What do you think about
Or
it?
it's a little agenda piece. What do you think?
I feel like
Go for
the
it.
One Piece is not something tangible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I personally think it's a secret poneglyph.
Ooh.
So like information, basically.
Yes. So
yeah.
the reason
yeah.
I think that is because I feel like we've been working up to Luffy actually caring about the government.
My man's talking here.
So Luffy's not
Thank you.
really aware of what's going on in the background because he just never cares.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
cares about
yeah.
his
But-
individuals he knows, like Vivi. He's like, let's go to Marishoa. I
There's
just
one
care about
thing
Vivi.
that he always cares about, which is the freedom of people.
Correct.
So we
Yeah.
in the anime, because I'm not reading the manga, but
sorry.
like in the anime, they showed this like scene where he's saying what his actual dream is,
Yeah,
his true
yeah.
dream,
Yeah.
and they cut it out. I think it's something really stupid or like, no, because like it's Luffy.
It's something
The
impossible that
reactions- the
Usopp's like,
reactions are
that's
I
not gonna
personally
happen.
think that
Yeah.
it's, he wants everyone to become pirates. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that's what he wants, then it's in reality he wants freedom for everyone.
Right.
I
It's
like
going to
that.
be about freedom, no doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
we get to the end, I think it's gonna be two things. It's gonna be the secret of the devil fruits
Sure.
Yeah.
and the truth behind like the government as well as
Vo-
the
Void
world itself.
Sentry
Yeah.
Which I
yeah.
feel like you said, there's gonna be a big war.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be the ender of that war
Like
because he's
Paul
gonna
Atreides
suddenly
almost.
care and realize I end that, everyone's free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
sounds like it.
you don't think it's going to end when they find the One Piece?
I think that the One Piece is gonna be the start of the ending.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sure,
That's
sure. I
interesting.
get it. I
Okay,
get it.
okay.
Hey, thanks,
Thank you,
man.
thank
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a feeling this. My friend told me that the One Piece is actually there's no treasure. It's just the friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
Oda has addressed
Oda's
this.
addressed
There
it,
is a
and
real treasure.
it
We
is something.
promise it's not just the friends you made along the way.
Okay, gotcha.
So rest assured, there will be something.
Yeah.
And if not, you can be mad at Oda. I give you permission.
So I think after the Egghead arc, they're gonna have an Elbaf arc, which is gonna be small.
God
but
willing.
It's still gonna happen. But then I think it's gonna connect the Void Century.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The last island before Laugh Tale, Mary Joyce. It's all gonna connect to just that last island. And like it was just mentioned, after Laugh Tale, it's gonna head towards the ending. And I think it's gonna end somewhere with Mary Joyce or after, like
With the collapse of the Red Line. I
yeah,
think some
collapse
people
the
are
red
saying.
line.
All
and
blue is
that.
formed, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
the prophecy, Madame Charlie's 100% guaranteed always happens prophecy, Luffy will destroy Fishman Island.
Right.
Which is actually kind of a brilliant narrative device to
Certainly.
introduce someone with 100% accurate predictions. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
the only thing that I was gonna say is, you know how you get to Reverse Mountain to get into the Grand Line?
Right,
Right.
I
right.
feel like that's also hiding some secrets, but no one's really thinking about
For
it. It
sure,
might
for
have some
sure.
Yeah,
secrets
like all
to
blue.
it.
'cause it
I
connects the
suspect that
formations.
like the entire red line may be destroyed and just will
Reverse
all go away.
Mountain's gonna
And the Grand
reveal it.
Line might go away too, like the column belts. I
Yeah.
think all that going away. Obviously, the ending's going to be like we're all free. I have a theory. I have a theory that the One Piece is like the world itself, free of boundaries between travel and whatnot.
Yeah.
A lot of people talked about that
That
theory, but I
sounds
think
about
I think
right.
it's a decent one.
That's fair.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, of note, the name of the planet in One Piece has never been said.
Yeah.
What if the name of the planet is One Piece? I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
A world of One Piece.
All right, Phoenix, what do you think?
This isn't about the treasure or anything, but I think I think the last scene of the series is going to be it's all a story that Usopp is telling his and Kaya's child
Oh yeah.
That's like,
Let's
oh,
go.
This is a story of
And
how
they're like,
we,
Dad, you make up such crazy
That's exactly
stories.
what I think's gonna happen. It's like the old man liar dad.
Just
and
like
then-
Liar Norland. Chapter 1, he planned it all. He knew.
That's not chapter.
And then we'll see like a treasure from
basically
Laugh
chapter
Tale
one.
on his shelf or something showing they told the truth.
That is an adorable idea, and I hope it happens.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right, Luffy, what do you think?
Have you ever heard of the Lafro piece theory?
Maybe.
No.
Tell us about it, though.
Okay, so I think that the One Piece will be an afro that Luffy can put on his head,
Oh,
and
yeah.
when he puts it on his head, he gets to view, like he can see the world's history,
Yeah.
and he can see the stories of Joy Boy, and he just puts it on and he experiences all that.
Is that why Roger laughed?
And then
they all laughed?
it has to be funny.
That would be why.
It fits the
It's true.
criteria. It fits the criteria.
Sure,
And like, there's a
And
lot
Roger's like,
about.
I'm not putting an afro on. Man, I wish I could have. We were too early.
Luffy like very clearly wants to put an afro on in like
Yeah.
many instances. He loves
There's
afros.
precedent, no
Afros
doubt.
give him strength.
Yep.
Afro Luffy.
Yeah, I didn't mention. I really hope it's a Davy back fight at the end.
Oh, I think it's gonna be
A Davy
Yeah.
Bag fight. Imagine a Davy Bag fight for the One Piece versus
Foxy
the
is
Blackbeard
relevant.
Pirates. Foxy is
Foxy
always
is relevant because he like Luffy like chops his head in half, like his hair in half or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And he says 2 piece.
He does.
And that's why I think the afro is the One Piece.
Yes.
And
That
I also
is
think
fabulous.
I also think that Luffy's dream at the end of the day is to go to space.
To go to space. All
He
right.
wants
Yeah,
to,
I've
he
heard
wants
that
to full freedom, travel space. I heard one theory that was like he's gonna use the red line as like a wheel for like a ship and drive it around the galaxy. I don't know if I believe that, but like that's fun. I like that idea.
I like it. I
Big
do
fan,
like it.
yeah.
Nika
Thank
could
you.
pull that off. Nika
Yeah,
could pull that
right?
off.
If anyone can, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Alright.
Thank
This
you.
last-
Thank
this
you very
last
much.
one would,
Love the egghead outfit.
Huge.
All right, so you know how Buggy always fails upward.
He sure does.
So
he sure does.
at the end, Luffy may become Pirate King, but Buggy will claim the treasure.
Yeah. Or he ends up getting the title and no one even knows about Luffy too.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Luffy claims it for like 2 seconds, and then Buggy takes it over. So we technically got it, but our Pirate King is Buggy D. Clown, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna. It is 20.
We got 20 out.
So yeah, so like 10 more minutes. So I'm gonna go right to. Well.
Oh yeah.
This is
Okay,
with
we've
the-
got a clip for you. Yeah. Tell us, Shaybs.
さて、推しの漫画の最後も見届けたし、ここらで私も終わりにしますか。
So yeah, we want to hear from you. What's life going to be like after One Piece? Besides that.
Will you take the route of undead unluck, or maybe do something more constructive with your life?
Yeah,
So,
if you guys
anybody
have any
wants to come
thoughts
up,
about
this is for them, right?
Yeah.
Come on up, tell us what you think about life after One Piece, what you'll be doing. This isn't exactly about what you think the ending will be, but what will you do
Once the
as a
story's
person?
over,
What
what
will
do you-
fill the void in your heart once One Piece has ended? That's what we want to hear about.
So what I believe, like One Piece after its ending, like I feel like it's gonna take a while for people to actually like come to terms with it ending because they don't
Yeah.
think it's actually over and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Most might move on to new animes or new manga, but the one thing that's not going to change, probably for all fans as well, it's just going to leave like an empty hole in everyone's heart. Like,
Yeah.
because like for a lot of us, One Piece was like most of our lives, like a childhood. But then as it goes on, it's been like a huge part of our life. It's just gonna, with it finished, it's gonna give us some closure, but it's also just gonna leave like a hole in our hearts.
Especially because it's a weekly experience. If you were reading it week to week, that's something you look forward to, or the
Right.
anime too.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think the live action series will kind of keep the One Piece energy in the world a bit longer. You know,
For sure.
They put one season every 2 years on Netflix, so I feel
Mhm.
like you might get a good 5 more
And
years.
Whip Piece too, like the new
So
reanimation.
we'll get
of-
some One Piece in our life still for a little bit.
Yeah, they'll keep it alive for
But
sure.
will it be the same? Will
Yeah.
it fill that same place in our heart?
Well, the parts I enjoyed the most from season 1 was how it differed from the original series. Just
For
the
sure.
small details. Oh, there's something there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch One Piece.
Let's go. That's
All right.
right.
Glad to
I'm
hear
gonna
it.
read One Piece.
I recommend reading it personally, but the anime is good too.
Yeah.
I've only
Whatever
been
you
like,
wanna do.
reading it to like catch up, but I was anime only pretty much. But yeah, I'm the same
Have you
way.
read any of it so far?
Well, I've only watched like Wano. That's basically it.
Okay, all right.
So I'm not gonna watch
Enjoy.
the whole thing.
It's a heck of a ride.
I
We want to get. We'll get the.
Should we
I'm
get to our
I'm
ending?
keeping an
All right,
eye
one
on
more,
it.
and we gotta be hurry. Sorry, everybody else, but we gotta end it here.
Personally, I'm gonna watch One Piece. Yeah, featuring Buffy. That show is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we get quick with it?
Okay. All right, both of you. No, let's hear real quick.
Really,
Come
really
on
quick. I
up.
wanna hear
Tell
from
us
you
your
guys. I wanna
thoughts,
hear from you guys.
and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. You keep the cycle going, you get more people into One Piece, and rewatch and reread the series over and over.
Yes, exactly.
That's true. I will
my
do that.
plan.
Yes, I hear that.
100%.
All right,
It's
and
so long.
Uta, my favorite.
So I think he's just gonna pull a Kishimoto, and we're gonna get like 2-piece with Boofy, his son, and that's it. And he's just gonna be Boofy's dad.
Or just, passes it to
Sounds
like
great.
Kishimoto, he passed it to a different author.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Toriyama passed it to a different author for Super.
Exactly.
And I hope that's not the case. But
Who knows?
that's certainly possible. because they have to
Honestly,
find
knowing
some
him,
way
he
to
would
keep
just
the
do it
IP
just for
alive.
a money grab and laugh,
Yeah,
and then
never
he'll
let
just
it
be like,
end.
"It's done after 2 seasons, guys."
Keep milking. Keep milking that thing as long as we can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. No, yeah, with the thing you're saying.
Should I
Yeah,
give
go
my
ahead.
closing thoughts?
Yes,
Do you want to do
please.
yours first?
No,
or-
I'm.
Are you
That was
all
pretty
set?
much what I was thinking. Where I'm
Okay.
hoping to reread it, rewatch, and reanalyze. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have some conclusions. I have a final statement I'd like to make about life after One Piece, and it is thus. Okay, so my takeaway is that I wanted to organize this panel. It was my idea, and I'm very
thank
delighted
you.
that
Thank you
Shaybs
for having me.
was willing to join me on it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about One Piece's legacy as it gets close to its end, and we look at like its beginning to an end and what life after will be like. Because I've loved One Piece for 20 years, but some of the things it's done have kind of shifted the things that I love about it since its peak. Somewhat. And some of my favorite things have been just a little bit deprioritized, while other things have increased in scope. And that's okay. And I do have some concern, like we don't know how it's going to end. The ending might be terrible. We might hate the ending. Remember Attack on Titan? Huh? Game of
I don't know.
Thrones?
I like
Game
the
of
ending.
Thrones. There are some things that are good about it,
I
but
enjoyed-
it was
I enjoyed
divisive
Attack on
at
Titan.
least, right? Divisive. I think that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah, the manga. Yeah.
I don't think that One Piece is in that category exactly, but like we can theoretically imagine it could happen. And wouldn't that change our opinion in retrospect? I think it might. Some people say it's good to love something no matter what. I totally disagree. The bag will, and it can be fumbled. It can absolutely be fumbled, and as unlikely as that may be. It's like if your son blew up a school bus full of paraplegic orphans, you're still gonna love him, but it's gonna change your relationship a little bit, That would be a downer. That would be unfortunate.
It's fiction, Nate. It's not that big.
Well,
of a deal.
I think it's just as serious as a school bus of paraplegic orphans being exploded.
Sheesh.
Exactly morally equivalent. Come on, I'm making a point
you're right.
here. It's a joke, people. You can laugh. Okay, all right.
I
So
laugh.
One Piece, all right? We're talking about One Piece here. You guys know One Piece? I've heard about it. It's a wonderful piece of fiction, vastly superior to its contemporaries in shonen manga, but I feel that we do need to remember that at the end of the day, it is a children's comic series that has flaws, and that's totally fine. I love it for those reasons, basically. Well, not the flaws, but I love it for what it is. I'm not imagining that it's something else. There's no competition, really, between like One Piece or Bleach or Naruto. Like, who cares about any of that? That's a waste of time to even think about that stuff. And we don't need to act either like it's perfect or like read super deeply into arguably non-existent things like is the lore tree real? The chapter 1 lore tree.
yeah.
Will the raid fail? Some of there's all kinds of theories about it. That's fine. But also, I'm not a child anymore, and I should remember that personally before judging One Piece too harshly.
Yeah.
Totally fair. I'm an old-ass man now, so the audience has shifted. One Piece will end one day soon, and I will look back on it with a mixture of feelings, mostly good, but with some mixture of things, because I take a holistic view, like I talked about before. I do think that Oda writes with the present moment more so in mind than being worried about being 100% consistent with like every narrative message that was ever in the story, and that's only natural. Like, he's human, of course, that's totally fair, but it isn't a flawless process, and I think that's reasonable to observe. My worry is that Oda would stray more and more away from the concepts that I particularly love in an attempt to generate like mass market appeal, and there can be a conflict there. There can be. Take Chopper, for example.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Lost
about
a
Chopper,
character
yeah.
arc, gained marketability. Was that a good trade-off? I don't know. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
It's still,
right.
Still time.
There's still, yeah, I mean, you know, don't take this too seriously. This is why I warned everybody at the beginning. There was going to be some negativity. It's not that serious. But okay, so the story's going to end, and I'm concerned about, like, in 5 years, and the story's maybe done, 10 years, 20 years from now, after it's finished, wouldn't it be a shame if we look back and are like, some things got fumbled along the way? You know, that's a shame. It's not as perfect as it could have been. So, you know, that's why I talk about things. And here's where I was citing Game of Thrones or Attack on Titan. Controversial endings, to say the least. Wouldn't it be great if everybody just loved it? You know, that would be better, theoretically. And if for you, and this is totally fair, if for you One Piece is a fun distraction or just like an entertaining property you don't engage with, like as if it's like a Rembrandt or whatever, or like deep philosophical art or whatever, that's totally fine. And that might be how Oda wants you to engage with it, you know, more so than like being a weirdo like me that's overly obsessed with it. I totally get that. I might be the crazy one, is my point. But, you know, don't all the theory crafters and the video essayists that talk about literary quality a lot, aren't they also kind of taking it seriously too? It's not just me, you know?
Yeah.
But if you only highlight the good points in something like that, and if you only highlight the good points, that's just marketing. That's not analysis, really, or it's selective analysis at least. And I'm not convinced that's the best way to consume a story. And to cite my boy Demolition D, if you if you ignore all the bad parts of a story, everything's a 10 out of 10. So
True.
you know, isn't that fun? So to reference one of my top 5 mangaka of all time, Aristotle, Aristotle said that art is a form of imitation of reality that allows us to better understand the world around us. That's the point of art, in his view. So a story about a silly rubber boy beating an evil king resonates with us not just because it has good tension and pacing and the execution is good. Those are surface level, although they do matter. That's how you engage with a story. It's because it depicts the concept of good triumphing over evil in generally, and we all resonate and derive meaning from that. That's the core of the story. So ultimately, it's a question about the purpose of art. There's lots of kinds of art, and I try to take it seriously when it's appropriate, and to not take it so seriously when it's not as appropriate. You know, I keep that in mind. Many claim to do that, but sometimes people do that, I think, just because it sounds cool. I know that I'm not cool for taking it this seriously. Totally, you know, aware of that fact. Because I take a children's manga way too seriously, and that makes me not super cool, but it makes me a man-child. And that's okay, I'm comfortable with that, you know. But my point is, if One Piece is a meaningful piece of art, then we should treat it as such, warts and all. I think that's a good way to engage with fiction. So, for example, many of the people and events that I think of when I'm struggling with something really hard, or I'm thinking like, what would like this hero do when I'm trying to do something important in my life? Many of them are fictional, you know, and not all, but some. Does that mean that I have schizophrenia? No. It's just that stories are expressions of meaning, like our buddy Aristotle said. They're conveyance of visions of reality, you know, with an aspirational quality to them sometimes. So I cheered for Luffy when he climbed the mountain on Drum Island because it meant something to risk himself to save his friends Nami or Sanji, or to ring the bell of Shandora and save Skypiea while revealing the truth and the connections across generations between the star-crossed families of the Norlands and the Calgares. There is meaning in and that of itself. My greatest fear is that about One Piece is that Oda doubles and triples down on story elements that conflict with excellent, beloved, established themes. Luffy being the chosen one, descended from Joy Boy, not that these are all true, but I'm just listing theoretical examples. The Nika fruit being what allows him to become the Pirate King and save the world. Anything that he didn't earn in that sense. I feel that the more we lean into those, the more damage we do to the core idea of what One Piece is about for so long, and the key reasons I love it. So don't do that. So don't lean into that too much, you know. No frozen straw hat that Im-sama goes down to in the basement. Let's just forget that happened. We don't need to address that again. But regardless, One Piece is ending soon, and here's my final message about that. Okay, this is what I wanted to say about everything. It's things in life come and go, but what matters is the meaning that we take with us. Nothing lasts forever, even friends, family, projects, group projects that we're in. Shout out to my PCP boys, you know. They'll always be part of us, and that's true for art too. I think, and I think that's why we're all so attached to it, because it really means to us. It sticks with us. It's important to our identities, and it shapes who we are. And that's why, okay, this is why I'm such a curmudgeon. This is why I get so hung up on themes that are in conflict, or get so annoyed when later events contradict, or even weaken the narrative with like plot conveniences, or just things that go too far and that eat away at the credibility of the story. Because these things matter. And with all the chapter 1 stuff where people see something and assume that it was planned out from the beginning and whatnot, the thing about that is patterns of thinking are transferable, and I don't think being a credulous rube who looks at every part of a story, like every part, and calls it all peak Kino, it's all 10 out of 10, I just don't think that's doing much good for your brain. And that's my PSA on the subject. So I want to be able to look back at One Piece, or any media that means something to me, and with One Piece being an important part of my life for so long, and get as much out of it as possible, which is why I moan and scream and cry and piss myself when I'm thinking about what One Piece has done, you know, and the inconsistencies in the story and whatnot, because the technical aspects of the story are delivery systems of meaning, and I am invested. I'm in. They got me for as long as it goes. Yeah. And unless there's some sort of like cataclysmic, like fundamental betrayal in the story, I'm always going to be a huge fan of One Piece, despite my gripes. But let's also have some standards. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Standards are good because it's good for you. So don't just consume the slop. Okay, that's what animals do, and we are men. So demand premium slop.
Men and women
Premium
and
slop.
folks.
Premium slop. Premium slop. Premium slop. Premium slop. Okay, yes, thank you. We're all about the premium slop. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the panel. Get that premium slop, baby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
There's some audio at the end there.